Hey everyone, welcome back to She Tried It. In today's video, I want to give you some tips on how to not grow tired of crocheting or knitting. I'm quickly coming up on my year mark of really being in the knit and crochet niche with this She Tried It thing. Today, I want to focus on how I stay motivated in this craft. I'm no giant in the maker community, but one thing I am is consistent. It hurts my heart to see my fellow creators feel burnt out or demotivated. I don't claim to have the answer, but I do think I have some suggestions for anyone looking to get into knitting or crochet, but not wanting to lose interest quickly. Let's hop straight into these tips. Number 1, follow patterns free or paid. As you might be able to tell from my channel, I am a huge proponent of following patterns from various designers. That's really the bones of my entire brand. I want to introduce y'all to all kinds of patterns, free and paid for. There are so many great designers out there already. There's no need to reinvent the wheel, especially if you're a beginner or just feeling a bit burnt out. There's no greater feeling than making a quick gauge swatch, checking it, and knowing that to make this top in my perfect size, I do 10 stitches here. And don't let the pattern be pattern tested, because that means others have already followed the pattern, so most, if not all, of the mistakes in the pattern should have already been caught. Also, when you follow a pattern, you still have the flexibility to modify it. As with most things, it's so much easier to tweak something here and there than to completely start from scratch. If you need any ideas for patterns to try, you have come to the right place. Just take a look throughout my channel and I'm sure you'll find something you like. Number 2, try testing a pattern from big or small designers. If you haven't seen my Pattern Testing 101 video, definitely go check it out. But the fact is, pattern testing is a great way for a beginner to try to get into the crochet or knit game. And it's also great for anyone trying to get motivated again. When you're scrolling through Instagram and see a designer post a tester call and you get picked, that is seriously an amazing feeling I think every crafter should experience at least once. I also want to emphasize that you should try your best to test for big or small designers. I think big designers are the people everyone goes for, and I totally get it. But small designers typically become big designers. Take my pattern test, for example. I completed the Lilith cardigan for Holly Woodward Designs, and I, of course, have a video for that. But I thought it was such a cute sweater, and I was so nervous about getting chosen because I didn't have much experience at the time. It was perfect because Holly was also nervous about hosting a tester group, because she had never done that before. We were in the exact same boat. She now has grown to be a pretty big designer and has made so many patterns since then. I recently created a pattern testing playlist for all the projects I've tested for. I have tested for some amazing designers, so I highly suggest starting with the people I've tested for. But the moral of the story is, please don't overlook small designers, or you could really be missing out. Number 3, make your own patterns. Now, I make this suggestion with a bit of a caveat. Coming up with your own pattern is great, but I suggest doing it once you have a firm understanding on how gauge and blocking works first. You don't want to go into making a sweater with tons of yarn and it not fit. Or it may fit and you wash it for the first time and learn a hard lesson about blocking. I would suggest doing this after you've completed a pattern by a designer. But once you have a good grip, go for it. And don't feel pressured to have to sell your pattern. You can just make something for you and only you. That's okay. YouTube is a great resource for this. You can also look up tons of crochet and knit stitches on this platform and just go to town. This is also a great way to keep your personal creative juices going. I recently took this tip for myself when I started the Inspiration to Reality series, and I was able to crochet and knit a cardigan that I am still totally in love with. Number 4, keep a wish list log. A wish list log is probably one of the smartest things I've implemented in my crochet and knit journey. If you can't tell, I plan almost all my makes well in advance, with very few exceptions. Ravelry is a great place to look for patterns, and you can easily add them to your favorites. But let's be honest, Ravelry is not the only place to get patterns. You have Etsy, Lovecrafts, Pinterest, YouTube, various yarn companies, people's personal websites, and the list goes on and on. Because there are so many places that can be a source for inspiration, I think it's best to make a simple spreadsheet so everything can be in one place. I don't want to show you mine because I don't want to give away future video ideas, but just know I currently have a list of makes to last me until May 15th, 2023. I have a list of patterns I think I want to make, and I include the designer, the type of craft it is, and even a link to the pattern. This is so helpful for me. Now that I think about it, this is a lot like a personal Pinterest. Quick story. So I love Pinterest. It's an amazing website. But I think for a lot of people, it can tend to be extremely overwhelming. You can make a board on Pinterest for all the patterns you want to make, but with the way Pinterest is set up, you may be consistent with pinning projects rather than completing projects. The goal here is to stay consistent with actually completing things you want to make. That's why I think a spreadsheet is a great way to keep tabs on the patterns you want to make. A spreadsheet makes it feel more like a checklist, and there's no greater feeling than checking something off your checklist. But anyways, I noticed one year that I had been pinning recipes on Pinterest for years, and it only made like 3 of them. I've always meal prepped my lunches for work every single week. That following year, I made a commitment to make a new meal prep recipe every single week from the list of millions of things I had been pinning over the years. This was life-changing. At the time, I would meet up with my dad every week and just give him one of my meals and he would try it. He was loving it too. So I found so many things that I never would have tried had I not buckled down and stuck to make the things that I already wanted to make. I highly suggest doing the same thing with any knit or crochet project you want to make. Number 5, take a break. You knew this one was coming. Take a break. Consistent does not mean non-stop. Consistent means steady or stable or unwavering, like Jesus Christ. You don't have to work on a project every single day. You don't have to crochet all the things, and you don't have to knit the day away. Those make for cute hashtags, but it's not a sustainable lifestyle. Rest your fingers, take a nap, find another hobby. I've structured my Instagram and YouTube in a way where I'm consistent but not overwhelmed. And the second I start feeling overwhelmed, I'll restructure it again. Knitting and crochet should bring you joy, not stress. On that same note, while I think all these tips are great, they should still each be done in moderation. You don't want to rest too much or you'll never create anything. You don't want to follow too many patterns or you'll be totally dependent on designers to make new things you love. You don't want to make all your own patterns or you'll waste a lot of time doing math that somebody probably already did for you. You don't want to pattern test too often or you'll be constantly chasing a deadline rather than enjoying the process. You don't want to log too much inspiration in a wish list or you'll just get sidetracked from what you're working on at the moment. Just be sure to take it day by day. A lot of people in the fiber community boast about how many projects they have going at one time, or how overwhelmed they are with creating patterns, or how insanely large their yarn stash is. That's cool for them, but that's not how I try to live my life. Following these tips may make you stand out like a sore thumb, but that's totally fine. I hope you found these tips to be helpful. Don't forget to check the description box below for all the things I mentioned in this video. Let me know if you have any more questions about staying consistent, and if you have some consistency tips on your own, leave them in the comments below. See you in my next video. Bye!